Hello, Brett here from Brett on the Go today with our new podcast, Retirement Today. Today, we will be diving headfirst into the hidden truths about retirement and some of the toughest topics around retirement. Today's video explores the idea that retirement, while often envisioned as a period of relaxation, can negatively impact health and longevity due to the loss of purpose and routine. But don't worry, we're going to keep things entertaining too. You'll hear from our hosts, Sebastian and Mercedes, who bring fresh perspectives and a whole lot of energy to the conversation. Whether you're preparing to retire, already living the dream life, or just curious about what happens next, this series is for you. So sit back, relax, and get ready for honest talk, real laughs, and maybe even a few tears as we tackle retirement together. Please welcome Sebastian and Mercedes to the show. Sebastian and Mercedes are going to help us unpack all of that, share their thoughts, and maybe throw in a few laughs along the way. So, let's get started.
All right, so welcome to another deep dive. And today, today's topic is pretty interesting. We're going to be looking at the idea that retirement, something we usually see as a reward, might actually be bad for us.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and to explore this, we're diving into a YouTube video, and the title is, it's a mouthful. It's called, Is Retirement a Stupid Idea? And Is Retirement Killing Us?
Okay.
And it's by this guy, Brett on the Go. He retired after like 15 years of working, and well, he seems to have a lot to say about it.
It's definitely a different perspective. I mean, we're so used to thinking of retirement as this, relaxing, idyllic time. But it sounds like Brett's saying there's a downside.
Yeah, exactly. Like one of the first things that really jumped out at me was this point he made about research that shows a link between early retirement and a higher risk of heart disease and strokes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he argues that leaving the workforce, especially suddenly and without a plan, it can really, it can be bad for our health.
That makes sense. I mean, when you think about it, work is, for a lot of us, it's not just a paycheck. It gives you structure, social interaction, even like a sense of who you are. So when that's gone, it makes sense that it could impact our well-being, even physically.
Yeah, totally. And actually, Brett even shared a personal story about this. He talked about feeling this like initial excitement after retiring, but then this feeling of emptiness set in, like he was questioning his purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, that feeling of emptiness, it's something a lot of people experience in retirement. And, it actually connects to a whole bunch of research on longevity. Studies show a strong link between having a sense of purpose and living a longer, healthier life. Basically, when people have a reason to get up in the morning, a why, they tend to be healthier.
And Brett kept coming back to that word purpose. He seems convinced that it's not retirement itself that's the problem, but it's losing that sense of purpose when you're not working anymore.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like he's tapping into something deeper about human nature. We're kind of wired to strive for things, to create, to contribute. So when we lose that outlet, it creates this void, and that can have some pretty serious consequences.
So it's not just about missing the routine of work. It's about losing that drive, that reason to be engaged with the world.
Exactly. And without that engagement, our motivation can drop. We might become less active, and even our social connections can suffer. And all of that can affect how long we live.
That's a bit sobering. But Brett's video isn't all doom and gloom. He also talks about how retirement can be this amazing new chapter full of opportunity if you approach it the right way.
Right. Retirement doesn't have to mean decline. It can be a chance to reinvent yourself, to explore those passions you maybe put on hold while you were working.
And he gives some really interesting examples, like pickleball, traveling in an RV, gardening, photography, making videos, even volunteering. He seems particularly excited about RVing, actually. He even encourages viewers to message him about it in the comments.
What's interesting is that he's pointing to activities that address a lot of the potential downsides of retirement that we just talked about. These hobbies, they offer social interaction, they keep you physically active, mentally stimulated, they even give you a sense of accomplishment.
Right, like even joining a pickleball league can introduce you to a whole new community so you're not isolated, which some retirees experience.
Exactly. And that sense of belonging is crucial, especially as we get older. We're social creatures, and those connections, they're vital for our well-being. It's about finding your tribe, whether that's through hobbies, volunteering, or just staying close with family and friends.
He also talked about how photography has given him a new way to engage with the world, capturing memories, expressing himself creatively.
That's a great point. It shows that purpose doesn't have to be some huge thing. It can be about finding meaning in everyday moments, appreciating the beauty around us, and using those experiences to be creative.
So it sounds like Brett's main message is that it's not retirement that's the problem, but what you do with it. Finding new passions, staying connected, that's the key to a fulfilling and healthy retirement.
I think he's right on the money. It's about seeing retirement not as the end, but as a beginning. A chance to write a whole new chapter, one that's full of purpose, meaning, and connection.
And while some people might think, well, I'm years away from retirement, why should I even be thinking about this now? I think Brett's video raises a point that's important for everyone, no matter your age.
Absolutely. It's never too early to start thinking about what really gives you meaning and how you can nurture those things, both now and in the future. It's like planting seeds for your future self.
That's such a great way to put it. So if work suddenly wasn't necessary, what would you be doing? What hobbies or activities really get you excited?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's one we should all be asking ourselves, no matter how old we are or what we do for a living.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
If you had all the time and resources you needed, what would be at the top of your list?
Well, I've always been fascinated by astronomy. There's something so awe-inspiring about the universe, and I think I'd love to spend my days exploring it, maybe even getting involved in some citizen science projects.
Wow, that's incredible. I can totally picture you out there stargazing every night. I think I'd be knee-deep in a garden, experimenting with all sorts of exotic plants. Actually, speaking of which, Brett mentioned that his granddaughter got him into hydroponics.
That just goes to show that we can discover new passions at any age.
Exactly. And those passions don't have to be something grand or elaborate. Brett even talked about how simply taking photographs can be a way to appreciate the world and capture those everyday moments.
It's all about finding those activities that bring us joy and a sense of fulfillment. It could be learning a new language, writing that novel you've always dreamed of, or simply spending more time with loved ones.
And speaking of connecting with others, it seems like Brett found a real sense of community through pickleball and RVing.
That actually highlights a fascinating point about retirement and community. Research suggests that strong social connections are crucial for our well-being, especially as we age. They provide a buffer against stress, loneliness, and even cognitive decline. So it's not just about finding activities we enjoy, but also about seeking out those activities that foster a sense of belonging and connection.
And he also mentioned volunteering, which can be a powerful way to give back to the community and find purpose in something larger than ourselves.
Absolutely. There's something inherently fulfilling about contributing to something bigger than ourselves, whether it's mentoring youth, supporting a local charity, or advocating for a cause we believe in. Those acts of service can bring immense meaning to our lives.
He even touched on the idea of starting a YouTube channel to share his story and connect with others. It seems like he sees it as a way to create a legacy and leave a lasting impact.
That's a really intriguing idea. In a way, it combines many of the elements we've been discussing: creativity, purpose, and connection. And as he pointed out, content on YouTube has a certain permanence. It's a way to share your knowledge and experiences with a wider audience and potentially inspire others.
So it's about finding ways to contribute our unique talents and perspectives, even in retirement.
Exactly. Retirement doesn't have to be a period of withdrawing from the world. It can be a time to step into a new role, one where we share our wisdom, support others, and continue to make a meaningful contribution to society. It's about reframing retirement from a period of decline to a period of continued growth and impact.
I love that perspective. So it sounds like the key takeaway here is that retirement itself isn't the enemy. It's what we do with that newfound time and freedom that truly matters.
Precisely. It's about being intentional and proactive rather than letting life just happen to us. It's about consciously crafting a retirement experience that aligns with our values, passions, and aspirations.
Now, I know we've been throwing around this word purpose a lot, but how do you actually define it? Is it something grand and world-changing? Or can it be something simple and personal?
That's a great question, and I think it's different for everyone. Purpose doesn't have to be this monumental thing. It can be as simple as finding joy in everyday activities, connecting with loved ones, or contributing to your community in small but meaningful ways.
So it's about finding those things that give you a sense of meaning and fulfillment, whatever they may be.
Absolutely. It's about identifying what gets you out of bed in the morning, what makes you feel alive and engaged, and then finding ways to weave those things into your life, both during your working years and in retirement.
I think Brett's video does a great job of highlighting the importance of that. It's not just about planning for retirement. It's about designing a life that's rich with meaning and purpose at every stage.
I couldn't agree more. Life is a journey, and finding our purpose, or perhaps multiple purposes, is what gives that journey meaning and direction.
Okay, so we've talked about the importance of finding purpose in retirement, but are there any practical tips or strategies for actually doing that? Like, where do you even start?
That's a great question. It can feel overwhelming at first, especially if you've been so focused on your career for so long. But I think the first step is to simply take some time for reflection. What are your values? What are your passions? What activities bring you joy? Once you have a clearer sense of those things, you can start exploring different avenues for expressing them.
So it's about taking inventory of your inner world, so to speak.
Exactly. And then think about how you can translate those values and interests into concrete actions. Maybe it's joining a club or group related to a hobby you enjoy, volunteering for a cause you're passionate about, or taking a class to learn a new skill.
So it's about bridging the gap between those inner desires and outward expressions.
Precisely. And don't be afraid to experiment, try different things, see what resonates with you. There's no right or wrong answer here. It's about finding what works for you and brings you a sense of fulfillment.
That's so important. We often get caught up in this idea that there's one right way to do retirement, but it's really about personalizing it, making it your own.
Absolutely. Your retirement journey is unique to you. There's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate for a moment. What about those people who genuinely love their work and don't want to retire completely? Does that mean they're doomed to a shorter lifespan?
Not necessarily. I think it's important to recognize that purpose can be found in many different forms, including work. If someone finds deep meaning and fulfillment in their career, continuing to work in some capacity can absolutely be a source of purpose and contribute to their overall well-being.
So it's not about demonizing work altogether. It's about recognizing that purpose can come from various sources, and work can certainly be one of them, especially if it's something you're passionate about.
Exactly. The key is to be mindful and intentional about your choices. If you're continuing to work, make sure it's for the right reasons, because it brings you joy and fulfillment, not just out of a sense of obligation or fear.
And I imagine even those who love their work might benefit from cultivating other sources of purpose outside of their careers.
Absolutely. Having a diverse portfolio of interests and activities can enhance your overall well-being and provide a buffer if your work situation changes unexpectedly.
It's like having a backup plan, not just financially, but also in terms of your sense of self and purpose.
That's a great way to put it. It's about creating a multifaceted life that supports your overall well-being and allows you to thrive, regardless of your work status.
It sounds like this is something we can all benefit from, regardless of our age or career path.
I completely agree. Cultivating a sense of purpose is an ongoing journey, not a destination. It's about constantly exploring, evolving, and finding those things that light us up and make life worth living.
So it's not just about planning for retirement. It's about designing a life that's rich with meaning and purpose at every stage.
That's beautifully said, and I think it's a message we all need to hear.
We've covered a lot of ground today, from the potential downsides of retirement to the importance of finding purpose and the practical steps we can take to do so. But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to circle back to something Brett mentioned in his video.
Oh.
He seemed particularly passionate about RVing and encouraged viewers to reach out to him to discuss it.
It seems like he's found a real community and sense of adventure through that lifestyle.
And it speaks to the idea that retirement can be a time for exploration and new experiences. It doesn't have to be about slowing down. It can be about embracing new adventures and pushing your boundaries.
Exactly. It's about redefining what retirement looks like and creating a chapter that's both fulfilling and exciting.
So if you're listening and you've ever considered hitting the open road in an RV, maybe Brett's experience can be a source of inspiration.
And who knows, maybe you'll discover a new passion and a community of like-minded adventurers along the way.
I love that. It's like a reminder that retirement can be a time for unexpected discoveries and forging new paths.
And that's what makes this stage of life so exciting. It's full of possibilities and potential.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, but I feel like we've only just scratched the surface of this topic. There's so much more to explore when it comes to finding purpose and meaning in retirement.
It's a vast and fascinating subject, and one that's deeply personal. What resonates with one person may not resonate with another. The key is to find what works for you and create a retirement experience that aligns with your values and aspirations.
And I think Brett's video, while unconventional, offers a valuable perspective. It challenges us to rethink our assumptions about retirement and to approach it with intentionality and a sense of adventure.
It's a call to action to design a retirement that's not just about resting and relaxing, but also about pursuing passions, connecting with others, and making a meaningful contribution to the world.
And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this part of our deep dive. But don't worry, we'll be back soon to continue this conversation and explore even more facets of this fascinating topic.
We look forward to diving deeper with you then. You know, when Britt was talking about RVing, it made me think about something we often forget about retirement. It doesn't have to be about, slowing down. It can be about adventure, exploring new things.
That's true. We tend to picture retirement as like sitting on the porch and relaxing. But Brett's saying we can be much more active.
Exactly. And that adventurous spirit, it applies to anything, really. Traveling, learning new skills, taking on big projects, even trying new foods. It's about staying curious and, keeping that sense of wonder alive.
So it's not just about staying busy. It's about choosing things that challenge us and excite us.
Right. We grow and, we feel more fulfilled when we try new things, step out of our comfort zone. It's about constantly learning and exploring.
I love that. Like retirement's a chance to be like a kid again, always discovering new things.
Exactly. And that can lead to some amazing experiences and opportunities.
Retirement isn't about slowing down or hiding away. It can be about starting a new adventure, driven by curiosity, passion, and a desire to keep learning.
Couldn't agree more. It's about embracing the unknown and approaching retirement with excitement, open to whatever might come next.
This conversation has really shown how important it is to keep learning throughout life and how retirement can be a time for growth.
Yeah, it's about challenging yourself, expanding your knowledge, and always staying curious.
And that's important for everyone, no matter how old they are or what they do.
Definitely. Learning is a journey that never ends, and it can be incredibly rewarding, especially during retirement.
Well, in this part of our deep dive, we've talked about adventure, community, astronomy, and lifelong learning. Before we move on to the final part of our conversation, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about.
Okay, I'm listening.
Imagine, just for a second, that you didn't have to work, like at all. You had all the time and money you needed. What would you do with your life? What passions would you go after? What kind of impact would you want to make on the world?
That's a really big question. It makes you think beyond just everyday life and think about what you really, really want deep down.
It's like taking away all the limits and asking yourself, what do I actually want to do with my life?
And, that question can be exciting, but also a little scary.
How so?
It's exciting because it opens up so many possibilities. But it can be scary because it makes you face those doubts you have. Like, what if you fail? What if you're not good enough? What if you don't even know where to start?
That's where that idea of exploring and trying new things comes in.
Yeah.
It's about, letting yourself try things, even if you're not sure, stepping outside your comfort zone.
And it's okay not to have all the answers right away. Figuring things out, it's a process, right? You have to be open to new experiences, learn from when things don't work out, and just keep growing.
So it's not about having a perfect plan. It's more about having a direction, a purpose, and being willing to, change course along the way.
Exactly. And that's what I think makes this time of life so, so amazing. It's a chance to kind of reinvent yourself, to try new things you're passionate about, and really create a life that matches your values and what you want.
This whole conversation has been really insightful. We've talked about so much, from the downsides of retirement to finding purpose, and even some practical steps to take to have a more fulfilling life.
Yeah, it's been fascinating, really. We've talked about what it means to live a good life, both while working and after.
And I hope our listeners have gotten something out of it, too.
Me too. I hope it's given them some new things to think about, some inspiration, and maybe even some excitement for what's to come.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive for today. But the conversation doesn't have to stop here. Keep thinking about these ideas. Ask yourself those tough questions and start taking even small steps towards a life with more purpose, passion, and joy.
And remember, it's never, never too late to create a life you love.
Thanks for joining us on this journey. And until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep living with intention.
See you on the next deep dive.